My name is David. They call me a man after God's own heart. It's true, I am, and this is my story. I'm the youngest of 8 sons. Can you believe that? I'm the son of Jesse and grandson of Ruth. I was a shepherd just like my dad. When I was taking care of the sheep, I had to fight off so many animals. They were always trying to eat my sheep. I had a sling that I carried with me at all times. And when those wild animals came after my sheep, I would shoot a stone at them. They never got my sheep. My favorite thing to do while tending my sheep was to play my harp. Now there was a king named Saul. He was the king of Israel. He was rejected by God because he disobeyed him. So Samuel was sent by God to anoint a new king. God told him to fill his horn with oil, go to Bethlehem, and find Jesse. That's my dad. My dad and brothers were invited to a meeting so that Samuel could carry out God's plan. My dad introduced Samuel to all my brothers. Samuel asked my dad, "Is this all your sons?" My dad said, "Well, my youngest son, that's me, is tending the sheep." Samuel said, "Send for him. We will not sit down until he arrives." So I finally made it to the meeting. I walked in and I heard people saying that I was glowing with health, that I had a fine appearance, and that I had awesome features. What? I'm just a shepherd, but whatever. You are not going to believe what happened next. The Lord said to Samuel, "Arise and anoint him. This is the one." Samuel took his horn of oil and anointed me. That means he poured it all over my head. From that day on, the Spirit of the Lord came powerfully upon me. So, remember earlier when I was talking about Saul? Well, ever since he was rejected by God, he just wasn't right. He would become anxious and need to be calmed down. His attendant said to him, "Let us find someone who can play the harp and it will calm you and you'll feel better." The next thing I know, Saul sent a messenger to my dad Jesse asking for me to come back with him to play my harp for the king. I went and played for him, and he liked it so much that he asked my dad if I could remain in his service. So I stayed and became one of his armor bearers and played my harp whenever he was troubled. It always calmed him down. When I was 12, my brothers all went to fight for Israel. My father was so worried about them that he sent me to check on them. When I got to where they were, there was this giant Philistine enemy named Goliath. He was mocking the Israelites and God. Can you believe that? He was saying stuff like, "Who will come fight me? If he wins, we will be your slaves. But if I win, you will be our slaves." Everyone was so afraid of him. Not me. He made me so angry I shouted, "I'll go fight him." Well, King Saul's faith was very different from mine. He was not thinking about God. He said to me, "You are not able. You are only a boy." I told him, "The Lord who delivered me from the paw of the lion and the paw of the bear will save me from the hand of this Philistine." When King Saul saw that I was brave enough to fight Goliath, he said, "Go and the Lord be with you." Then Saul dressed me in his tunic. He put a coat of armor on me and a bronze helmet on my head. I fastened a sword over the tunic and tried to walk around because I'd never worn this stuff before. I told Saul, "I can't go like this. I'm not used to it." So I took it all off. I grabbed my staff and I went to the stream and gathered 5 smooth stones. I put them in my pouch, grabbed my sling, and headed out to the Philistine. Goliath called to me, "Am I a dog that you come at me with a stick? I'll give your flesh to the birds and wild animals." I told him, "You come against me with sword, spear, and javelin, but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defied." All those gathered here will know that it is not by sword or spear that the Lord saves, but the battle is the Lord's, and he will give all of you into our hands. So as Goliath moved close to attack me, I ran quickly towards him. I reached into my pouch and took one of the stones. I slung it and struck him in the forehead. That stone sunk into his forehead and he fell down on the ground. When the Philistines saw that their hero Goliath was dead, they turned and ran. Later, King Saul appointed me a high rank in the army because of my fighting skills and brave loyalty to God. Every time I went to battle, we won. King Saul treasured me. Well, one day he came to town to greet people, and the ladies were singing and dancing. They sang, "Saul has slain his thousands, and David his tens of thousands." That made him furious. He began to think that people liked me more than him. So he tried to have me killed. My friend Jonathan helped me. I had many opportunities to kill Saul, but would never. He was God's anointed king. While in battle with the Philistines, all of Saul's sons were killed except one, and Saul himself died as well. When Saul's last son died, I became king of Israel, just as God had said. I did many wrong things, but I always asked for God's forgiveness, and he always forgave me. I loved no one more than my God.